Hello and welcome back to the Quad Life. It's been a while since we've been in our fishy studio, but we're back here after a busy summer and starting to look at fall, unfortunately. Well, when my dad was around 6 years old, his family purchased a farm and moved on to it. And when he and his siblings got married, of course, they moved out of the house. But my grandparents stayed living in that house and worked on that farm for many years, and my cousins eventually took over doing the farm work, doing the crops, which I've done video before on that. Hopefully there'll be a link up there to showing those if I find it. But my grandparents liked living out there, and my grandpa said the only way he would ever leave the farm is by ambulance, or I think that was about his only option. And that's what he did in 2019. He and Grandma were working on some stuff in the house and had an accident, and he passed away about a week later. Well, it has been almost 4 years now since then, and Grandma has continued living out in the country on her own, which for the most part has been okay. But in the winter, especially, we're kind of concerned about her of being out, in the middle of cornfields, which in the winter are just completely open on her own and not much to do. But two of my uncles live within a mile, if even, of her, and can get to her pretty quick to help if needed. But we were looking at maybe seeing if she wanted to move to town eventually. And here, probably, less than a month ago now, she looked at a retirement home or retirement kind of village, I guess, in town, and so it looked good to her, and she was ready to move. So that's what my dad and his siblings have been working on now the last couple of weeks, is putting together what she needs in order to be at her new apartment. But after living in a house for about 60 years, of course, there's a lot of stuff that has been accumulated. And not only hers, but there's still mostly all of Grandpa's stuff too. So a couple weeks ago, my parents and I went out to Grandma's and we're out looking at things, and one of the rooms is Grandpa's kind of toy room or office, as you want to call it. So growing up, I always collected toy semis and small toy tractors and stuff. So the main brand of it is a company called Ertl. So my grandpa and I were always in competition of, if I had these semis and he had those, or vice versa. Of course, I maybe had like 25 semis or so, and he had quite a bit more, to say the least. I think there was one shelf on a wall that had all semis in it, and a couple more long boxes that are full of trucks that he had on display in certain areas. Then not only trucks, but he also had larger tractors of various sizes and different types. And then, if that wasn't enough, there was also another wall that had a shelf on it with a bunch of smaller tractors and everything. So I went through it with Dad and probably picked out about a dozen or so semis that had different memories for me that I went ahead and took, because my uncles and cousins have various wants of them or not. And some of my young cousins and my cousins' children, of course, have played with some of these while we were at my grandparents for Christmas or Easter or whatever. So because of that, some of them have missing parts or broken or that kind of thing, but for the most part, they're intact. So it's kind of nice to have memories too. But as of so far, I don't have anywhere that I can display them yet, or anything of that sort, but that may be coming in the future, we'll see. But right now, they're still living in a box in the basement. However, of course, now that Grandma's moving out of her house, nothing's going to change for several months. So she can decide whether she likes it at the place where she's going or not. And after that, we'll have to see. But it's likely that maybe one of my cousins will take the house. But these are also kind of times that make part of living the quad life more of a challenge. Say, I can't help my family really with moving at all. Not that many of my cousins are, but it's also a house that if I was able, I would take it up in a minute. It's only about 5 minutes out of town. It's off the main road by at least a quarter mile along a lane, and it's pretty quiet out there. And in the summer, if it's a year where corn is in the field around the house, you really can't even see it from the main road. And it has a nice area in the backyard for growing a garden, which I would like to do, and has the possibility of doing crops during spring and fall. And something I would love doing, as I've said before, I like doing Farm Simulator, and I've spent many hours doing that. And it's part of what Grandpa and Grandma used to watch me do when they would come and help at evenings, which, of course, that doesn't happen anymore now. But so, unfortunately, some parts of the quad life are not fun, and as families get older and things change, that's inevitable with pretty well any family, I think. But then deciding who gets to move where and gets stuff of memories, that's always a hard part for anyone. But then, yeah, things like this, I think of all the times of being out at Grandpa and Grandma's and having everyone squished around in the house, and I had one little area that I could sit, and I could turn around and get to a table to eat and go back to my other spot, and that was it. Otherwise, I'd be running over people, which maybe some of my relatives might need ran over, but generally I try to avoid doing that. But you never know, I might accidentally get someone on occasion. Of course, accidentally, correct? But that's what's been going on for me the last couple of weeks, and it's just, as I said, more of a challenge for me to remember or not. Health-wise, I've also been having some problems with some bladder issues of having infection yet again, and the day before this video goes out, I was scheduled to have a major CT scan to see about some stones and kidney problems, which may be a later video, but we'll see. So I'm working on that as well as everything else going on with family life. But that's about it for this week's Quad Life update. I have some other news coming up about the book, but that will hopefully be the next entry, but we'll see from there. But until then, thank you for watching, and have a great remainder of your day. Bye for now.